Hello and welcome to Woke News. This is the first ever Woke News and it's going to be a segment on the channel where I can elaborate on different news stories that have gone on in the week, all environmental related and something I've really wanted to give an opinion on and really my viewpoints on it. So this is the first one. They'll be coming out every single Sunday, so look forward to more of them. What I wanted to talk about this week though was Greta Thunberg. She's been dominating the news over the past few days and I really felt that it was important that I went through a few different things that happened and what I kind of thought of them. So she delivered a speech to the UN early this week on Tuesday and it was a very powerful speech. In fact, it woke a lot of leaders up around the world and a lot of people as well. It inspired children and adults everywhere to get up and take action because climate change is a big problem. And Greta does a really good job of captivating the minds of people and making them realise that. So the speech was really powerful and I just wanted to play this one short clip from it just to show you that.
My message is that we'll be watching you. This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering, people are dying, entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
So there you go, that was Greta delivering her speech to the UN, and how powerful is that to see? How inspiring is that for future generations of children to watch? How inspiring is it for adults to watch, for leaders around the world to watch? That is someone with a passion. And she has become an ambassador for climate change. She really has. But it's no surprise that after this very, very powerful and moving speech, that a lot of people came together and decided they didn't quite like it. And it came across all over the internet. There was a lot of backlash all over Twitter. All on Tuesday and Wednesday there's been lots of things flying around about Greta, ranging from stupid things like her clothing to scepticisms over her mental well-being, and it really is awful to see. This is someone pouring her heart and soul into saving our planet. At the end of the day, she's not just doing it for her, she's doing it for every single person on this planet. Regardless of whether you decide you don't like her, whether some pundit on Fox News decides that he's going to rip into her, she's trying to benefit every single person on the planet. So I think to kind of retaliate at her and have a go is pretty out of order to an extent. In fact, I've got a couple of clips I want to show you just actually from Fox News that came on Tuesday, talking about, Greta in particular. And I don't want to give these people too much airtime because they really aren't very great people in terms of how they choose to talk about a 16-year-old girl who has a passion and wants to save the planet. So here are a couple of those clips from Fox News.
Because the climate hysteria movement is not about science. If it were about science, it would be led by scientists rather than by politicians and a mentally ill Swedish child.
The adults who've brainwashed these kids should be brought up on charges of child abuse.
Somebody needs to read poor Greta Genesis chapter 9 and tell her next time she worries about global warming, just look at a rainbow. That's God's promise that the polar ice caps aren't going to melt and flood the world again.
So I think one of the ones that really gets me there is the clip from Michael Knowles, and he called Greta a mentally ill Swedish child. Now, usually this guy hosts a podcast for Daily Wire. It's quite a right-wing media source, and that's why he was on Fox News as well, presumably. But I really just don't understand the mindset behind calling out someone on national TV, a 16-year-old girl, attacking her and calling her a mentally ill Swedish child. I think the only one really who's a child probably is you, Michael. Acting and behaving like that on air where literally millions of people will have been watching, and some people probably will have taken that and now believe that she is a mentally ill Swedish child. So people don't seem to understand the effect that they have on that sort of wider audience. And in fact, one of the hosts on the show did step in to stop him at the end of that clip there. But it's just, I think the problem is with Greta, and I think what we're going to see a lot more of as this progresses is she really wants to make change in the world. And there's a lot of people who still don't want that. You know, there's a lot of leaders, there's a lot of different media outlets, there's a lot of people on the planet who don't want to make a change in order to save our climate. And whether it's because they don't believe, or whether they believe but simply can't be bothered to make the change. And a lot of people will find any way possible to try and escape making the changes that we need to as a society to carry on. You know, Greta laid down a lot of different facts in that speech, and there's a lot of different numbers flying around as to how many years we've got to turn it around. But one of the numbers that she listed is that we can only put 350 more gigatons of carbon dioxide into our atmosphere until we start to see a runaway effect. That means we can't stop it at that point because of the negative feedback loops. Now, what that actually means, quickly on a negative feedback loop, is as our oceans warm, as the climate warms, it melts more of the polar ice caps. This is just one negative feedback loop, by the way. But it melts more of the polar ice caps. The polar ice caps melt, release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere that's been currently stored in those ice caps. That warms the atmosphere even more sea ice, more carbon, and yeah, you can see where it goes. That's a negative feedback loop. Once those start, we cannot stop them. And they reckon that 350 gigaton budget will run out in about 8.5 years. If we keep putting carbon dioxide into our atmosphere at the current rates that we are. 8.5 years isn't a lot of time, and it's scary. It really is scary. But with the help, I think, of people like Greta to inspire, especially the younger generation, and hopefully to rock the core of enough people in the older generation, and especially the leaders of the world. I mean, any leader who isn't seriously considering the environment in their policy shouldn't be leading at this point. I think that's a fair statement to make there. And a lot of leaders around the world say they are taking action, and that's great. That's what we want to see more of. But no longer can we continue having leaders who just don't believe. Because this isn't a matter of whether you believe or not. There's no, what's the believing to be done? I never get that when someone goes, oh, well, I don't believe in climate change. What do you mean you don't believe in facts? There's scientific evidence that's backed this up for the past 30 years. Climate change is real. And if you don't believe the facts, then I don't know what can be done. This isn't a matter of whether you believe or not. It's a matter of what you're going to do to change. So make the difference, make the change, and stay woke to what is going on in our planet. Demand change from leaders, from politicians. Check the policies that are going through your government systems. Strike. School strike every Friday. Get out there and show people we want change. Thank you for watching this week's version of Woke News. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm hoping to do many more of these. As I said, every Sunday there will be a release of Woke News, and usually it's going to vary between different news articles from the week. It just happened that this week the Greta was such a big topic. I thought I should really cover that and kind of go into a bit more detail. So thank you for watching, and please do subscribe. I will see you next week.